Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys, peep game. So I'm a little late to this, but no time like the present. I feel like I needed to speak on this. So it's been 30 years since the release of Menace to Society. The movie was originally released May the 26th, 1993. The movie starred Ty- Tyron Turner. Clifton Powell was in the movie. Jada Pinkett, of course, was in the movie, and Lorenz Tate. They were the stars of the movie, and it featured appearances by MC8 and Too Short and a couple of other people, and Samuel L. Jackson. I really thought that they should have did a re-release of this film celebrating the 30-year anniversary, but whatever. But the funny thing is, most of these actors are still around. We all know what's up with Jada Pinkett. Tyron Turner. He acted periodically, but he said basically the reason why he didn't work as much as he should have is because after that movie he got offered a lot of stereotypical roles. But he's still around and he still does stuff. We all know Lorenz Tate never stopped working. So I guess you could say out of the people that started that movie that had the best career, I guess you could say Lorenz Tate, because Lorenz Tate never stopped working. I mean, to this day, he's featured on Power Book 2 Ghost. So Lorenz Tate, if you want to know who had the best career. And then, of course, Clifton Powell. Clifton Powell has been working steadily, to this day, who played Chauncey, who went on to become, Snitch, because he couldn't take his ass whooping like a man. But nevertheless, most of the people that was in the movie, they're still working to this day. And of course, we know about Samuel L. Jackson, who had a cameo appearance in the movie, who played Kane's father in the movie. But nevertheless, this movie was surrounded by controversy because of the theme. It really dug deep into the life of, just being from the streets of LA and the gang banging and all that kind of stuff, and, the drug pushing and stuff. Very impactful movie. I just remember going to see that movie and then how I left after the movie was over. And it was kind of funny. This movie was released in limited release. Now, if you from the Bay Area, you from the Oakland area, anywhere from Oakland to, Berkeley or Richmond, a lot of people on the weekends used to hang out in Berkeley, used to hang out at the old arcade. They had the Silver Bowl, and then they had this arcade in UC Berkeley called the Underground. So, Saturday nights, people used to hang out in Berkeley and then go to Fat Slice Pizza and go to Blondie's. They still got Fat Slice, if I'm not mistaken. And then around the corner used to be Leopold's Records. So, people used to catch the bus or catch BART out there and hang out in Berkeley either, Fridays and Saturdays. But nevertheless, this movie, once again, was released in limited release because it was a very controversial movie, and they were movie theaters that refused to screen this movie. And it was funny when we were trying to find out where this movie was playing. We had a hard time trying to find out where this movie was playing. Keep in mind, there was no internet back there where you could just grab. There was no cell phones, well, they had cell phones, but, you had to be like balling out. People, we were still in the beeper age. Keep in mind, this was 1993. So, there wasn't any smartphones and none of that stuff. So basically, how we found out where the movie was played, we had to buy a damn newspaper. And it was only one theater that had screenings for Menace to Society. And it was this theater in Berkeley called the Act. I think it was two of them, two theaters, but they were separate from each other. So I don't even think that theater is around no more. If I'm not mistaken, I think they made it into some apartment complex or some kind of store or something. So me, my brother, and my cousin and another dude, we all jumped on the 40 bus because that was the it thing right there, to ride the bus everywhere, even if you had a car or not. But we all jumped on the bus. We rode the 40 bus to Berkeley. We got off in Berkeley. We paid to see the movie, and it lived up to all the hype. Now, keep in mind, there was no YouTube where people would review the movie or none of that kind of stuff. So it was one of them movies, word of mouth. But everybody that had saw it, like, loved the film. And it was kind of funny when you think about it, watching that movie. And it was always this question. And to this day, I pretty much get the same answer, because about LA culture, LA gang culture. And if I'm not mistaken, Kane then was from Grape Street. So I would ask my homeboys who were, Crips, and I knew a lot of Bloods. So I asked my homeboy, because he was from, he was in and out of LA. So it was funny. And I asked him, I say, so what was Kane in O-Dog? He say, oh, they was Crips. And the funny thing was, y'all know the end of the movie, the people that came and slid on them was Crips as well. But what happened at the diner, those were Bloods. So, I had a lot of people, fill in the blanks, because people say, yeah, Kane then were Crips. They didn't have a rags, but they were Crips. And then MC8, he kind of pretty much solidified it, because we all know MC8 is a Crip. So he basically said, yeah, that Kane Nim's characters were Crips. And the people that slid on them was Crips too. That's what made it funny. And then, years later, I had found out, well, all Crip sets don't get along, as this internet stuff come along, then you start to tally up more information. But then I just remember leaving the movie theater, I was like, wow. It's two movies that at the end of the movie that I walked out of, and I'm talking about it was silent. Because you remember what happened at the end, what happened to Kane's character, the shootout and everything. When that movie ended, I'm talking about people just walked out of the movie theater. And another movie that I remember seeing, when it was over with, it was just complete silence. I'm talking about that. I'm talking about from beginning to end, which was Saving Private Ryan. When that movie ended, people just walked out. People walked out of that movie like in silence. People didn't clap. People just because I guess at the time, seeing something like that was just shocking. So, we walk out of there, and then, I think we hung out a little bit in Berkeley. I think we walked up the hill and we went to Leopold's Records, and I think we went and got a slice of pizza from Fat Slice, and then we went home. But we was talking about it, and we was just like, damn. And just to think how impactful that movie, expanded like 30 years, going from generation to generation, people watching that movie and just still talking about that movie, where that movie just had an impact. It was eye-opening to just see something like that. And the Hughes brothers did a very good job on that film, a very good job. And I cannot tell you how many times I've seen Menace Society. I watch it at least once a year. They have it on Tubi. I might watch it again, but it's just to think 30 years later, you have a movie that, goes from generations to generations, different age groups, and they watch this movie and they just still, to this day, 30 years later, it had an impact on you that it had when it first came out in 1993. So that's pretty deep. But yeah, I just wanted to, talk about it and give props and thank the Hughes brothers for giving us this classic jewel. It's very rough to stomach sometimes, if you don't understand that type of lifestyle. But, I participated in that kind of stuff. So it wasn't new to me, but it was seeing it on the big screen was, different. Now, keep in mind, there was always this comparison with Menace Society and Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood and Menace Society were similar, but they were different at the same time. Boys in the Hood was more of a coming of age story and a father and son story, where Menace Society, well, the title spoke for itself. It was about the impact of living in the streets, the do's and don'ts, and consequences and circumstances, you know. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Let me know what you guys think. This your boy Town Biz. I'm out.